retire. You are too good looking to retire.
If it isn't Puss in Boots himself. There's the famous hat, the feather, and of course, the boots.
He's mocking him. Superficial things that Puss has put all of his ego in. Because these are the things, this arrogance, that Death finds annoying. There's a certain personality type of people that can handle these types of very heavy jobs when you're dealing with life and death every single day. Military, police officers, EMT, doctors, and people that are more on the emotional scale can find that really hard because they're more absorbent. They carry it with them, and so they had a really emotional case. They'll take that back, and that can be really distressing. People that are more pragmatic or analytical can go through in their mind the reasons why this is important, and so because of that, don't take the same amount of emotional damage. It's still really, really hard, especially when you have to do something day in, day out that's emotionally really difficult. And feelings, even if you're more on the analytical scale, will still eventually sink in.
Hey, I never do this, but can I get your autograph? Been following you for a long time. Sign right there.
Because no one else really understands, and for a lot of people, the first thing that they do when you deal with something really heavy is they often make kind of an off-color joke or they don't understand it. You can't really share what you go through, and that's why support groups are really important, but also why usually when you do a support group, military people will be doing a support group with other military people, because no one else will know unless it's someone else that's actually been through it. And you can't really empathize if you've never been in that experience. Then people's reactions can often be really difficult or grating or make you feel worse. For something like Death, who has to go through this every single day, and he's the only one that does this, you can see how it would be exceptionally isolating. When you deal with people that are hoping to have one more moment, that appreciate every single second that they have and are really grateful for everything they have, you can see that someone that is arrogant and laughs in the face of death could be exceptionally grating because they don't appreciate how lucky they've been.
Puss in Boots laughs in the face of death.
So I've heard.
I think that's what feels good for Death, to be able to teach him a lesson that all of these times that he's been laughing in the face of death, if he really understood death, because he has so many lives, he can't really appreciate all of the luck that he's had.
I just love the smell of fear.
Puss has skirted through the rules, that there's some sort of an injustice, that he's been given 9 lives and he's appreciated none of them. And so to be able to feel fear instead of the opposite emotion, which is laughter, that then makes him feel like there's more of a balancing of the scales. The whistle is kind of interesting because invading tribes, military commanders, even the Jolly Roger from pirate ships, they were to imbue a sense of fear before the battle even happens. Because if you're very scared, we can often kind of give up before the battle's even started. That feeling of fear can actually destroy the opposing enemy without even having to do anything. And that means that your group, your troop, your military area won't even have to sacrifice as much. It's like when you roll the dice in D&D and you fail your fear check. You're already out of the battle even before it started. Anticipatory anxiety is actually often worse than the actual anxiety that you're fearing in the first place. Because for anticipatory anxiety, it's the unknown. It's the things that you may not be able to control. Versus when you're in it, you only have to deal with what's in front of you in the moment. Death evil? I would say that in this case, he's not evil. He's doing what he has to do as a job, and people that have to do even horrible things, that does not make them evil. It's the intention behind the actions. But he's also not playing by the rules. Even though he feels like he's breaking the rules because he feels like Puss has also broken the rules. But he's enjoying that. He's enjoying the fear that he's feeding into Puss because he doesn't feel like his arrogance is justified. So I would definitely put him more on the neutral category because I wouldn't say that he's good either. Someone that is good would probably understand that Puss is ignorant. He doesn't really understand all of the gifts that he's been given because he used to have 9 lives, so why would you really worry about it? When someone has gone through something so many times, they can definitely become jaded. The gravity of each situation becomes diluted in all of the things that you've already had to cope with. And that's what happens with a threshold theory, that the more that you do something, the easier it becomes and the less of an emotional toll that it takes upon your personality. Now, that is faster for those that are more analytical and still takes much more time for those that are stronger on the empathic scale.
I find the very idea of 9 lives absurd, and you didn't value any of them.
And that's the crux of, I think, what drives Death to be so annoyed with Puss. Death has had to take away, has had to bring people to the other side. And he's the one that has to be the conduit that has caused pain and misery for everyone else. And so he has seen the gravity of what other people have to go to. I think that a lot of people that have dealt with poverty or difficulty have the same feeling with people that have kind of born with silver spoons in their mouth and have it easy because of their position or the people that they know or how much money they have. The world isn't fair, but for those that see the most difficult parts of the world, it can be really hard when people, one, they don't appreciate what they have, but also when they're arrogant about it and actually act like, oh, it's because I'm more talented, I'm actually deserving of this. You can see how that would feel good to be able to teach them a lesson, or at least to see them have to suffer, because that's what you've been dealing with.
You're gonna take the coward's way out? What's the matter? Lives flashing before your eyes?
No, just one.
It was really important in this scene that Death was able to observe that Puss could have chosen to take the easy way out and just wish himself back all of his lives, or even to be immortal. And he's gonna fight for the one life that he has, even though he knows he might lose, because that is what is precious to him. And that's a huge difference in his own emotional growth.
Pick it up. I know I can never defeat you, Lobo, but I will never stop fighting for this life.
But it's an interesting thing when you're having a fight with someone and you're not getting what you want out of it. If someone isn't fighting back or they're not using fire against fire, a lot of times you are feeding off of something in a fight. Yes, fights and strong emotions can actually become addicting. And for Death, what he's feeding off of is Puss's fear, to have an arrogant person that doesn't appreciate all that they have, to be able to let them suffer. And this is Death's test. The last time that he stared Puss in Boots in the eyes, Puss was scared. And so he wants to test, does Puss actually mean what he's saying, or is this just another case of this superficial bravado that he was expressing last time? All of the superficial crap that Puss put all of his ego and importance in. His look, his hat, his accolades, all of the creatures that he's defeated. Those are like superficial things that feed our ego, versus having a true centralized internal self-esteem and belief in yourself. That doesn't get easily shaken, because no matter what, you lose all of the superficial things, you still are yourself at your core.
You're ruining this for me. I came here for an arrogant little legend who thought he was immortal. But I don't see him anymore.
And it's interesting because a lot of times we're angry at a person and we change and we evolve. Not everyone. And sometimes the person that you were angry at when you were 6 and they hurt you and they were this schoolyard bully, when you meet up with them again at a later time, they may not be the same person, and that can cause people a lot of inner torment because the person they want this apology from or have this anger towards, the person you want the retribution from, no longer exists. It's all internal. When you are angry or upset, it's about a place and time that's inside of you and your memories, and not always accurate. Instead of getting that feeling of feeling justice from someone else, you want to make sure that you give it to yourself.
Live your life, Puss in Boots. You know we will meet again.
No, I'm not going to try again. Death has his own code that he's happy that Puss has learnt something and that he's going to be appreciative instead of being flippant with all of the things that he has, and to be able to truly appreciate it. I think that that's something that we all need to be able to do to ourselves, to be able to be appreciative and to be able to take the time to go through all of those affirmations and be able to express how lucky we are for the things that we have. If you're fascinated with discovering more about yourself, you can think about joining my sponsor, Skillshare, the community filled with other creative and curious people, because it's a wonderful thing to develop more of your own personal skills. I really enjoy the process of learning a new skill and developing new understandings about myself and the world around me. But I'm more of a hands-on learner, and learning through watching someone else that's interactive and engaging definitely increases my enjoyment and my recall of information. I chose to do the class by Andy J. Pisa, who lays out 5 hands-on exercises to help unlock your artistic identity. Because as a creator, your identity and what you want to portray with your craft is so important. You work with the medium of your choice. You get to explore who you are and what you have to say. Then you get to put it all together in your own personal style guide. Skillshare is so much more than just any one class. It's an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves to explore new ideas and develop different skills for your career, hobby, or your own personal growth. Another class that I think is really wonderful is Creative Confidence and Silencing Your Inner Critic. Can't we all benefit from being kinder and more supportive to ourselves? That's one skill that you can give to yourself that will last a lifetime. And because you're watching this video, the first 1,000 people to use the link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So just click on that link in the description below and start exploring your creativity today. This is my thought on Death and his motivation for why he is so very upset at Puss in Boots, which I can understand. And you can let me know what your thoughts are for Death and who he is as a character in the comments below.